Slay, bitch. Serving cunt. Slay. Happy Pride, bitch. Serving cunt. We're serving cunt here. Serving cunt for lunch.
Cuntiest cunt.
Cuntiest cunt. Cuntiest cunt. Slay.
Cuntiest cunt. Slayage. Pride 2024.
Hi, everybody. I'm Roxy.
And I'm Priska, and we are
the two Horny Go. Whoa! Stop! Happy Pride,
Happy Pride, bitches!
Here we are.
did it. Here we are.
Serving cunts realness, honey.
Licking cunts.
Yeah.
Everyone's out here licking cunts. Here we go. No. Give it to me.
I mean, literally, the playlist is Lunch by Billie Eilish.
That is the full playlist.
And
that is
Chaperone.
It.
We gotta play all the queer BBs.
All the queers, yes. Throw some Gaga in there.
Oh my God, Gaga's coming out with LG7. Hello.
Is she really?
Yes. Her new album is dropping in August.
Slay.
First time in 4 years.
Has it really?
Yes.
Oh
it's
my
been
God.
that long. Is that crazy?
No, you would have had like a 4-year-old child
I know.
in the time. Like,
I
that's
know.
nuts.
I know. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Lots of things to celebrate, but also the world is falling apart.
It's
How
falling
are you,
apart.
Priska?
No, it's great. It's great. It's great.
Where do we start?
But Trump was found guilty.
Be for real, though. What's going to happen with that?
Nothing.
It's so wild to me that it was like 34 felony counts.
Yes. I mean, all of them guilty. Unanimous jury, bitch.
All the way down.
Here we go. Yeah.
But then at the same time, in my heart, while that was happening, I was like, he's going to get away with it.
Yeah, he's going to get, and he made so much money in funding. Like, that to me is who I am.
Make it make sense.
Yeah.
How is it that he can't vote, but he could still be our president?
Apparently, it depends on exactly where he's registered. I think he is going to be able to vote.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he is going to be able to vote.
So, okay, so in this situation, it's like, if he gets jail time, will he actually get jail time, or is it just like he could be under house arrest, like what he could be?
I mean, because sentencing hasn't happened.
Oh, it's in July. That's right.
Yeah, it's I think July 11th or something, right?
Right.
So, right before the Republican National Convention.
Oh, so fun.
So I guess we will know more then. But apparently, as it stands right now, that the Secret Service would have to somehow watch him in jail if he ever went.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot.
This has never happened before.
There's a lot going on in the world, guys. So I'm just gonna say it out loud right now. It's like convict Trump and let's free
Ceasefire
Palestine.
now.
Yeah, free Palestine and like all eyes on Rafah.
Yes.
Like I just gotta say it out there right now.
Yes, 100%. Like, this is where we stand. We're not here to pick a fight or anything, but I think we were talking earlier, and it's like whatever line, it's been passed,
Exactly.
and it is a really dark time in the world, and we hope you're honestly taking care of your mental health, because it is a big crush. And I think we've been seeing the same thing on social media, where people are really guilting each other and peer pressuring each other.
There are friendships ending too,
100%.
It's over this, and it's really hard because it's like I've known people who are friends, besties in like the industry for years, and they've had a breakaway conversation. It's a real thing, y'all.
It's a really tough time, and I think it's really interesting because I do have, we have a lot of great, wonderful Jewish friends, and then we also know people that are displaying their Zionism, and it is interesting to go to some of these posts and see what a complete bubble echo chamber on both sides, and it's not that it's a both sides issue. It's just that, wow, it's like there's very little nuance and dialogue between the two sides, but there's a lot of emotion, and it's turning into a lot of just turning brothers against each other, turning families against each other, turning friends against each other. So, we obviously we're very clear of where we stand, but we also want to be open to having a more nuanced discussion, because a lot of the talking points that are going around on social, even from like liberals, it's not telling the full story.
It's hard when it's on social media. I think it's even, I mean, the thing is, when you're having a conversation, like my friend that told me that she had like a conversation with her ex-best friend now at this point, and it's like both have to come to the table willing to listen and willing to discuss.
Yes.
Like, because this whole like, oh no, like you guys are horrible is not going to help anything.
No,
like,
no.
We really need to create space for more dialogue,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I just want to say, and we just want to say on behalf of Two Horny Goats, that we love all of you guys. We're sending more love to all of you in this really crazy time, because I cannot predict what's going to happen at the end of the year. I feel like we're still, the worst is yet to come, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we don't want to manifest that, but I mean, I feel you. The angst is 100% there. But I would say, like, let's not despair.
Yes.
I think if we despair, and then obviously I get into these modes where I just end up on the couch for days at a time. I smell like sweat and body odor, and it makes it very difficult to see a path ahead, a road ahead. But there are things we can do. I mean, whatever side you fall on things, it is totally your right to email and talk to your representatives. Right. So send those emails. For us, we are pushing for a ceasefire. But really, I think one way that I've been able to see a way through and navigate some of this is just doing what you can to support aid workers. So there's a lot of frontline workers, Doctors Without Borders. There's World Central Kitchen. There's a lot of individuals who are maybe ICU nurses that are through their own kind of funding going over there to help people. You hear a lot of nurses say people are losing an arm and all we can give them is Tylenol. So their resources are very, very limited for many reasons. But if there's a way you can, there's so many accounts that are kind of reposting these things. Be cautious about who you send money to, but try to find people that are actually on the ground and able to help people on a one-to-one basis, because it is such a politicized moment. But the fact is, whoever needs help deserves help. So
and also it's like, if you're feeling overwhelmed by all these different choices as well, just know that it's all going to Gaza, and it's all going to Rafah. It's all going to those in need. So feel good about that, when you play your part in it.
And hopefully things get through, and hopefully a ceasefire happens soon, and hopefully all this quiets down. And it's very discouraging. It's very discouraging when a lot of the bombs being dropped are made by the U.S. And so there's a lot to reflect on, and I think the easiest thing to do is point fingers and be upset. And the thing that seems to happen the quickest is the spread of hate. And to be honest, I think that Roxy and I have taken a long time even wanting to broach this subject on the podcast, not because we haven't felt about it or haven't been reading about it or haven't been very disturbed by a lot of things, but just because we want to make sure that we're speaking clearly and we're speaking with intention. This is kind of where we land. We do not condone anti-Semitism in any way.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Like, just because you stand for this something doesn't mean that you're anti-Semitic.
Exactly. It's a very subtle message. I think right now the biggest thing we can agree on is that we do not agree with Netanyahu's cabinet and the hypocrisy that is abounding within there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, one last note before we move on. I do think that something that's kind of disturbing for me is I do think that this is all very Islamophobic and anti-brown people,
Yes.
If this was happening to Paris or London or another white people, the world would be reacting differently. And I think that's the most heartbreaking part of it. I just again, I'm referencing my friend who had this conversation with her friend, and her friend threw back oh, but I marched for Black Lives Matter.
Right.
But it's completely separate from this. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we just want to, send all of our love to you. Make sure to show up for each other as well. And do your best to navigate this with compassion, because I know that the anger is really fueling a lot of it.
Yeah. And honestly, this is just my personal opinion. I think if you're looking to post something, make sure it's coming from a credible source so that you're not part of, spreading too much animosity or confusion or misinformation. Just be aware of what you're posting. And if something is inherently intended to have an emotional response, maybe think about how to post it, how to contextualize it. Because there's a lot of nuances here, and we just want to, just put for anything. There's so many horrendous things going around the world right now. And like you're saying, this is very Islamophobic. It's very against brown people. So we just want to be really cognizant of that, and just whatever news source you're posting from or whatever influencers or activists you're posting from, let's just be cognizant of not adding to like piling on in a negative way, but just making sure that if we are, and I think it's great to contribute to the conversation, but if we are, that we're trying to be as intentional about it as possible.
Absolutely.
Because it's easy to doom scroll and then doom post.
Totally.
You know?
It's a very emotional thing, you know? But, Priska, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I want to talk about you, though. And I think a lot of our, if you don't follow us individually on Instagram, Roxy's been going through it.
This year is hard, man.
This year's fucking hard, but
I know that we always talk about our struggles every year on this podcast, but my friend, objectively,
this is legit probably one of the hardest.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I needed that perspective.
Yeah. Like it's rare that I see you in a financial low point, like a physical like lower point, and then just worrying about your family members basically.
Yeah.
But a couple weeks ago, we were supposed to record a podcast on queer history lessons. We were bringing it back. We were going to have Kevin Fong on, and that morning, Roxy calls me and she's like, Yaya's not moving.
Yeah.
And so I'll let you tell the full story, but it was one of the most harrowing phone calls because I really thought that we were in the last minutes of Yaya's life.
Yeah.
So talk to us. How have you been? What are you going through?
Oh my God. Yeah. It was, I think Yaya has been in my life for 14 years.
Shit.
And she's relatively quiet dog, really good dog. She just is with me almost all the time. It's not something you think about. She's not super clingy or one of those golden retriever type of dogs. She has her own space. She just does her own thing. But she's just always there.
Right.
And I think you don't really appreciate that until the moment comes where it's like, oh my God, you could lose this thing that's just by you for the past 14 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that morning it was really awful because I really wanted to do this episode and be with Kevin Fong, because Kevin Fong is we're the biggest fans of him, and to get him to do queer history with us is our dream.
And we're going to bring it back.
Yeah, we were working towards this for a couple of weeks and trying to work with his schedule and all that. And then so I didn't want to disappoint, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that morning, I woke up and Yaya had peed and pooed all over the living room excessively. She's a small dog.
Yeah.
And she was fine the night before. She was eating. She was well. And I think something happened. The power went out in my building twice for extended periods of time.
What?
And I had a really bad feeling.
Oh, no.
My intuition was just something is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Woke up the morning and I just thought, okay, well, I'll just clean it up. She's an old dog. Maybe we'll get this figured out.
But it is very unusual. I've watched Yaya for months at a time, and she can hold it. So it was a very strong indicator that something wasn't right.
Yeah, and then right when she got up, the moment she stands up, she pees.
Oh my God.
Just right where she is.
Oh my God.
She couldn't control it. And then she was shaking really hard. Her fever was really high. She couldn't move. She couldn't stand up unless she stood up to pee, in where she is.
Oh my God.
And then there was sorry guys, a little TMI, but there was pus coming out of her.
Oh jeez.
And blood.
Fuck.
And so I called Priscilla and I was like, I'm so sorry, because the worst thing that a Capricorn can do is cancel. And Prisca was so great. I know. It's fucking insane.
I know. I get
so fucking stupid, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, working on it. And then Prisca's like, no, you need to take her to the hospital now. Don't worry about this.
Yes.
We'll cancel it. We'll figure something out another time. So I rushed her to the ER, and I was there for 6 hours.
Jesus.
They weren't telling me anything. And I know this place is super booked, but and they were really diligent about what they were able to do.
Yeah.
But, as, I think, I don't know how much I shared this year about my financial difficulty this year, but as you know, the industry is at a super low point and work is very slow. I haven't stepped on set in over a year. Fuck. It's crazy because Tribeca's happening and all this stuff. So it's these two radically opposing forces happening at the same time.
The best possible thing and the worst possible thing.
Happening at the same time, which just makes you feel kind of disconnected with what's happening.
Yeah.
And, so I've just been focusing on my writing this year, but as those of you who work in development know, there's no money in development right now.
So fun.
It's so fun. And, so I was not prepared for this to happen. I always just thought oh, it's an old dog. Like, they'll show you over time as they gradually go.
Yeah.
And they'll let you know when they want to go.
Sure.
And so, but this was completely 180 overnight, and I was not ready to handle this. So I took her there. She was suffering a lot, and the vet finally came out, and he said, all right, we those of you who are pet parents know this. It's like, you want to do a blood test, you want to do an x-ray, you want to do like all these things, and it's just like hundreds and hundreds of dollars like on top of each other. And at that point I was like, he said, I can't really figure out what's happening until I do an x-ray, right? And then they itemized the prices, and I said, I can afford blood work, you know, but you give me your best estimated guess.
Oh my God.
And this guy was really nice. He still did like an x-ray scan for me for free because he felt bad for me. And then he said, well, I can't really guarantee, but he's like, I think it's pyometra. So it's an infected uterus.
Fuck.
And the thing about that is that like, you can't treat it with antibiotics because it's inside of her, and like it could burst, which means that the bloodstream could get, you know, poisoned, and then she cannot live, right? So then it was insane because he said at that moment, he's like, you got to get her into the surgery room 24 to 48 hours max. Like, you got to do this now.
So it's like right away.
Right away. And I was like, how much is the surgery, right? And he first quoted me 10 to 12K.
What? Oh my God.
It was so insane. And because she's an older dog, she's 14. And so I looked at Yaya, and he said, first he said, well, the blood test came out well. Like, her organs are functioning well. Her lungs are good, and her heart is strong. It's just this thing, right? So then in my head, I'm thinking, okay, we got to do it. So I looked at her. I said, Yaya, do you want to go yet? Do you want to go? And then she looked at me, and she got really mean. So that means she's not ready to go.
Bitch, I'm not. Don't let me go.
Yeah. She was being real sassy. So then he helped me find like this budget-friendly place that could do it for $1,500 was what he estimated. So I'm like, that's much better than
doable.
You know, I'll figure it out, whatever. So then we had one night together. I flew her to, you know, this clinic, the very like once
early
it
in the morning,
first one in, and literally they saw her because it's a walk-in clinic, and they just pushed away all the other dogs. They're like, this is an emergency. We need to get her in like right now. And then they took my dog, and I had no idea what was happening. And then they said, like, I know.
And she's a senior baby.
And then they're like, she's going to need to stay here 2 nights.
Oh my God.
And so, of course, it's like, and then they need to do another blood test because it's been a night. You don't know how things have changed.
Yeah, if she's septic
they need the x-rays. They need to do all this stuff. So then the bill came up close to like 4K.
Fucking
And, you know, at that time, I was so emotional. I was just like, fucking do it. Like, I'll open up another credit card. Like, fucking, like,
just do it.
If it gives me a few more years with her, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll take it
without question. But yeah, it was so horrible because I like called Priska immediately after, and I was just like,
oh, so bad.
So bad. It was like the worst I've ever cried. It was so bad.
Well, you don't know if she's gonna stay alive through this surgery.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was awful. And then, like, you know, we love your mom, but she wasn't making it easier on you.
She has no bedside manner.
It was just like tough love. It was like, but not at the right moment.
It was funny, but it was awful. I was so emotional. But Priska was so sweet. You came and saw me the next day for support. And,
gosh.
You know, just like really took care of me. And all my friends who have reached out, thank you so much. Like, you know, I posted about Yaya's recovery, and everyone has pinged me messages, and people were so sweet because I just said, you know, it's also like helping me navigate like how I respond to these situations, and like how wonderful my community is, and how I am in a free state. But I think I just needed people to give me their good wishes. You know, and
to get you energetically through.
And it really did help. You know, because everyone was so concerned and so lovely, and people were like, hey, you don't have to respond, just want you to know that if you need anything, I'm here. Like grocery store run, whatever. Like, people were so fucking sweet. I felt really held through this. You know, I felt really held. And, you know, the first night that it happened, my dad was like, you need someone to stay with you, you know, like, you need someone to stay with you, like any of your friends or Jaw, you know. And then so Jaw did, you know, he canceled all his meetings, and he came to spend, you know, a lot of the evening with me, and he's like, we don't have to talk about it. And that was so wonderful because I just kept talking about it because everybody was like, you know, it's just the way you respond. So it was wonderful to have that. And then I have all my best friends checking on me. You know, Priska came to see me the next day. And yeah, I don't know how it would have gone through without you. You know, it's like really hard.
I mean, just all of us, it's like we carry life for each other.
Yes.
Because like, you know, we have our families and stuff, but in the real lived world, this is our village, this is our family. You know, we could not do it without each other. And so it's like if something happens to our village, like everyone comes in, pitches in, you know, and it's too much to carry by yourself. And honestly, I felt like very privileged that, you know, you allowed us into your struggle because it gave us an opportunity to show up for you too, you know?
The way that my mom said it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because, you know, my dad was saying someone should stay with you or you should call your friends and have them, if they're able to come be with you. And then my mom responded, she's like, because it's how 招待他们. Then Roxy needs to take care of her guests. And I was like, my mom's never had a friend in her life. Like, that's how I know, you know, because
where you can just be,
you can be
down.
yourself. Like, and I just thought, wow, she doesn't know what friendship truly is.
Right.
You know? That makes me really sad too for her.
Well, and it's like, it's a different reality for us millennials because I mean, in good and bad ways, but I think her generation, it's like, well, everyone had their husband. So, you know, it's like you have these female bonds, but they can't be that tight because your commitment to your family is the most important, right?
Totally.
So, because I think the same about my mom. It's like she doesn't really have like tight girlfriends that she can feel like they're sisters.
I feel like
she doesn't really have that.
I feel like my girlfriends and my queer friends are the center of my world.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm like, I don't know how I could walk through life without them. I genuinely don't.
Well, and it's been a process of decentering, you know, romantic relationships in your life. Yeah,
totally.
So that's what, in some ways, it's like you reaped in the past few weeks what you've sown for the past like half decade. You know, very concertedly, the past 5-6 years, you have really devoted yourself to your female friendships, and you treat it like it's a job, and not in a bad way, but just like you commit to it the way you would anything else.
It's like a pillar of my life.
Yes.
You know? And that's why it's like when we talk about romance and stuff, like, and limerence especially, people who experience limerence lack community.
Like people being able to snap them out of their delulu, or explain that to me.
It's mostly like you're projecting your fantasies and expectations on a certain person, which isn't fair, by the way. Like you're not really, you're putting them at a pedestal, and they can't. No one can fulfill that fantasy.
No.
But also, like, community is where you get various needs like shared through many people instead of one person. You know, it's like what you were saying about like our moms being devoted to their husbands, but also because they didn't really have that ability to make friends because it wasn't socially acceptable at the time to be this vulnerable with other women, right?
Yeah, right.
So actually, it's like some of my friends have said that, oh, my limerence starts to go away because I'm so fulfilled by my friendships instead.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of like masturbating before a date.
No,
you
exactly.
know, like,
oh my God,
you get some of
that
pent up energy out.
Yeah, it's like you but you do it to yourself.
Yeah,
you know, you
right.
release it and then you come back down to earth.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, just.
But your besties can kind of like offer you that emotional support that maybe you're seeking. They can offer you an ear so that you feel seen, that you feel heard.
Yeah.
They can take care of certain things for you the way masturbating might take care of certain urges you might have, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just so you can be more clear-headed.
I'm totally getting like spiritually masturbated by all of my friendships.
I love jerking you off emotionally.
Thank you. Like, honestly, it's like, I'm just so grateful. You know, I was just talking to Priska earlier before we started recording. I'm like, man, I'm just so lucky we get to like walk through life together.
Yeah.
And that you think I'm funny and like you laugh at all my jokes, like, you know, because sometimes I get sick of Jaws jokes. Like, I will not. And he and I aren't even monogamous, and we're not even. We spend like very little time together. But I'm just like, wow, you're annoying. But I'm like, I have someone like Priska that just thinks I'm this shit,
the fucking shit.
Like, yeah. By the way, we did a really cute little choreo
on
Instagram
It's gonna be on TikTok tomorrow.
Yeah. Like,
Are we
not gonna brag,
dancers?
but like not gonna brag, but like
Roxy choreographed it in like 10 seconds.
It's really silly.
No, but we just love spending time with each other. And I think there's a way you can be around me that you can't be around anyone else. And same for myself, you know? And I think that's why it's so important to have like a group of close friends that you can totally let your guard down, let your masks down, let your bra off, like whatever it is, you know, just like whatever is holding you up, the way like in a Barbie box, like the little like you know whatever's holding you.
You could be freaking like I don't want to use my own spine to stand up. Like,
I want to be a blobfish.
Yeah. But that's exactly what came through for me last week. And my gosh, I mean, how did you feel seeing me on last Wednesday? Like I told Priska, I'm like, I just want to work. I don't want to talk about it. Like, I just want to work.
I was like, okay, whatever you need.
Yeah.
But it's heartbreaking when you see your friend suffering and under tremendous stress. And obviously, like, me and Abe are Yaya's like second family. We're her.
No, you are family.
She summers in Chino, basically. You
You're
know,
her godmother.
So I think like our hearts were heavy and hurting and worried. And then also it was like I wanted you to guide what you needed too, and I didn't want to do anything to be falsely optimistic. I didn't want to be over cheery. I didn't want to be too dour. If you're just in a place where you're like, I need stasis, sometimes like as your friend, like all I can do is sit there with you and hold that. And it's heartbreaking and it does feel helpless. But then the best thing we can do is just sit together.
It was so helpful for me, Priscilla. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
It was just so nice just to have someone there that like, even so you're trying to do things outside of having to think about it.
Yeah.
It was really wonderful. And this whole process also made me think about anticipatory grief in a certain way. Like, you know, in Chinese we say 心理准备, which translates to
get your heart ready.
Yeah, prepare your heart for the inevitable. And I think that when you have an old dog, it's like, how much can you 心理准备? You know, because like you can't borrow grief from the future. It's not like you could suffer now so that it hurts any less.
No.
Like, do you believe in that? Do you believe in 心理准备? And like when you went through grief in your life, like how has that changed the way you've seen it?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think, like you're saying, there's nothing you can do to avoid the blow. Like, there's nothing you can do to pre-grieve, really. There's nothing you can do to fully prepare for how it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
But I do think that maybe the benefits of 心理准备, or like of allowing yourself that space for anticipatory grief, especially when it's so, I think for a lot of things we might have a lot of anticipatory grief because we're just anxious. But I think when it's something like with your dog who's 14 years old, where it's reality is driving that anticipatory grief, I think it can be helpful just to appreciate certain moments and slow things down. And even if it makes it almost worse because you're having to feel that ache in your heart, it gives you a chance to kind of realize the impact it's going to have and appreciate the time that you have with your pup. Say whatever words you want to say to her in a timely manner so that at least it's like there's nothing that will reduce your grief, but it will at least be a maybe smoother transition to the other side.
It's so hard to stay in the present.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing that any human being can learn in their lifetime.
100%.
And they're just constantly living in the past and future, you know?
Yeah. And you know, we're Capricorns, so we're very task oriented. So I think one of the things that I do with grief is like, you know, even I was like, I know that I'm going to go see Roxy, but it can be, I have to try to really force myself to stay present because it's easy for me to get tasks done when it comes to grief, but it's hard for me to stay present.
Yeah, it's like exactly how it happened last week. I was just like, I'm going to go to the coffee shop and I need to get some writing done. And I just need that structure. Like, you came to see me on Wednesday and during Tuesday we talked because I dropped her off and I was crying to you. And then literally my eyes were super puffy and I was still having a hard time breathing. Yeah. And then 10 minutes later I had like a private lesson that I was teaching. And I thought, should I cancel this? Should I just leave another day? I had 2 meetings that day.
Yeah.
I had a tarot reading, and then I had like a private lesson that I was teaching. And I just went into it, and oh my God, it helped me so much. Like, that's the thing about being a Capricorn is that like those tasks help you, you know, like it helps you bring you out of that funk, because you and I are also deeply sensitive.
Right.
And emotional too.
Yeah, I think it can be a useful thing to stay busy, especially when you don't know the results.
Yeah.
But I would, and I do know some people that undergo grief and then they want to throw themselves back into their work.
Yeah.
I understand it, but I also think that no matter how hard and fast you run, it's going to come back around.
Yeah, that's the shit. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I respect it.
Yes.
I respect the cycles of grief.
Yeah.
It is, we all acknowledge it's painful to live through it.
Yes. But I think for you, because it was more the waiting period, that anxious waiting period, I think distraction during that time is actually okay, because you just don't know the results of anything yet. You don't know whether to feel relieved or to feel sad or to feel stressed, or you don't really know how to feel. You're just in this weird stasis. So
when you were with me, like, I was trying to get updates from the clinic, right? Because they said they were going to update me every day. They didn't. I get it. They're super busy.
Yeah, right.
And so I just kept calling to hear how it went with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, the last time she had a surgery, it was awful because she was crying the whole night. Priska had to come over and sleep with me.
Oh my God, that was the worst.
That was the worst. It was she was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And Yaya's never had to stay overnight at a clinic before. She's never been without me in that sense. In a foreign environment, having just, you know, had herself cut open, like all these things. And I think that day I was calling, she was there for, I think, about to go into her second night. And I called them and they're like, oh, your dog's not eating. You know, like she hasn't eaten since Sunday.
And basically she can't go home until she eats and poops, like kind of thing, right? Yeah.
So then they were like, we're going to try to give her like an appetite inducer. Bitch still didn't eat, right? And then so nearing the end of our coffee date, I was getting kind of anxious. And then Priska's like, you should call them again. And so I called them and they said, no, Yaya's still not eating. And I don't want to pay for another fucking night at this clinic. You know what I'm saying? So my mommy intuition was telling me, she don't want to eat the peasant food inside the clinic.
Because Yaya gets farmer's dog. It is like bougie ass, like chef human made. Grade. Like in the event of like a hurricane or a tornado, I would eat Yaya's food.
Exactly.
I would 100% eat it.
It smells really good.
Yeah.
And so
it just needs like salt.
Exactly. It just needs salt.
Yeah.
And then so I said, can I please run her food?
Yeah.
I have a feeling
to see if she'll
eat that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, okay. Like, we're going to have a vet here overnight. So you just come up whenever. So Priska, like, dropped me up. You bought me dinner. That was so sweet. We ate. She made sure that I ate something.
Because you were not eating.
I was not.
I was so mad at you. Anything. Yeah. She was like, well, I ate crackers for dinner yesterday. And I was like, bitch, no. You cannot show up for Yaya unless you show up for yourself.
Thank you.
You can't take care of your dog if you don't take care of yourself. Because she will eat your face off if you die at home, okay? So she's not going to take you anywhere. She's going to lick your face off. You know it's true.
Well, yes, thank you.
So sorry. So you brought the farmer's dog to the vet.
Yeah. I brought her little bento to this clinic. And this bitch, she saw me and her eyes were all crusted over because she was crying.
She's so emotional.
And then she saw me and she gave me the shittiest glare.
Like,
side eye.
Did you really just fucking leave me here?
Yeah, bombastic side eye. Criminal bombastic side eye. She just gave me that totally, you know, like from the side. But then she saw the food and she immediately sat up.
Oh my God, relief.
So she ate the whole thing and then the vet was like, that smells good.
Oh my God. The vet tech was like, actually, I'm going to heat that up and eat it for my dinner because I'm not paid enough for this fucking.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that was good. But the funniest fact is that my dog was willing to go on a hunger strike and die.
She's like, life is too short for bad food.
Exactly. She
can learn
would
that.
not touch the canned food there.
Oh my God, what a fucking spoiled bitch. Now we're all mad at her.
I know.
Now I get like why my mom would be mad at me after I went through like an ordeal.
Yeah.
You know? Like, she'd be so bitchy to me after I was fine, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I'm just like almost mad that she put us through that level of stress. She comes to my house today. She's like wagging her tail, bopping around, like boop, 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 wearing a little sunflower, like, you know, cone around her head. I'm like, bitch. So, bitch, were you fucking faking it?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yaya's like turned, she's like back to normal
fine.
now. She healed so fast.
It's so annoying. No, we're so relieved.
No,
but
it's like I pulled up today because Yaya's going to be staying with Priscilla for a few weeks. And Priscilla came out of the house like, oh, how's the baby? Like, willing to help with
okay?
Is she okay? And then literally Yaya's like, just running
bopping around, ignoring me, running to my husband. Like, I'm like, okay, classic. This bitch is back. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that she's okay. We are so proud that you went through that. You were a real dog mom. Not that you weren't before, but like you went through the gauntlet. Yeah. It was like you went through a tough mutter of being a dog mom and you made it through.
Thank you for all your kindness.
Yes.
Well, all your kindness, you guys. Thank you.
Yes. Drop Roxy a little like note of encouragement. She will read it aloud to Yaya.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. She's very spoiled. She's very cute. And we're going to take a little break. This is going to be a shorter episode.
It's a friendship episode, y'all.
It's a friendship episode.
We need a friendship episode because life has just been brutal.
Yeah. Like we've been hit by a bus multiple times. But we also want to celebrate some big wins. So when we come back, we're going to celebrate this big win of Roxy having a film premiering at Tribeca. BRB.
Talking about sex is such a taboo thing and it creates more oppression.
Yeah.
And it oppresses women, it oppresses men.
Hi, Goatees. Thanks for tuning in. Last season, we did an episode all about virginity. If you haven't heard it yet, we think it's well worth a listen.
We have slightly different experiences.
For sure.
Because you're coming from a place where your friends were like, yeah, we fucked under the bleachers.
Right.
You haven't?
Yes.
I literally would study Cosmo magazines and read them end to end and go on jokes.com and learn dirty jokes because I wanted to like be in the know.
We talk about the patriarchal structures around virginity and dive into some pretty personal stuff. Things get really intimate.
And I was like, fuck, I'm like single and I don't know what it's like to kiss a boy or like I don't know any of these things. I had to find a way to like rush my timeline.
Did you ever feel like people assumed that you would be more sexually experienced?
Yes. Like my breasts have developed into this since I was 13. I've always been very voluptuous.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I wanted to lose my virginity, but at the same time, I was scared of the pain.
We also talk about double standards when it comes to virginity and how that can be damaging as well.
And in fact, like, when they hit a certain age, they have older men mentors being like, let me just get you a girl so that you can get it out of the way. Which is so sad because like that fumbling and discovery and confusion and all that is intimacy building.
It's our most listened to episode to date, so head to twohornygoats.com/episode/virginity to listen now, or find the episode on Spotify and iTunes.
Our mothers only had one person their whole life. You know what I mean? So
only one person has entered the chamber.
Exactly. And so that's their story. And that's what they know. So obviously that's what they think that will
bring happiness, fulfillment, joy, completion.
Okay, now back to the show.
Welcome back, Goatees! If you are listening to the podcast, I just want to put a little plug out there that we are also on YouTube now.
Wow.
YouTube! And to our tubers, hello.
Hi,
tubers. Our go-tubers.
What's good?
What's good? But yeah, if you want to throw us on while you're like doing the laundry or whatever, we are putting all these episodes up on YouTube. We also post little clips and cute little YouTube shorts every once in a while. So
follow us on
tuned.
Everything. Subscribe.
And also, I just want to bring something up because our good friends Marvin and Quincy alerted us to the fact that our podcast was not showing up in certain feeds. I believe it's Pocket Cast. I tried to go and just like reset our RSS and resubmit to any other platforms. But if you are having issues finding the episode, can you just write to us at hello@twohornygoats.com? We really want to get down to the bottom of it because we want as many of you guys to listen to us as possible because we love you.
Yeah.
Like we love you.
And you love us.
And you love us, right?
It's reciprocal.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like fractions.
Exactly.
But Roxy, I am so fucking proud of you. I cannot stop telling everyone that we meet and see. This bitch, this film that you worked on now 2 years ago, right?
No, just last year.
Oh my God, life is crazy. This film that you worked on a year ago, called, the title is Beacon,
Yeah.
is coming out. It's featured at Tribeca.
Yeah.
Tell us what it's about. Tell us when people might be able to see it. And I know we've talked about the process of it, but we can talk about it a little bit more because you've released a lot of BTS footage.
Yes. Beacon. Okay, so I know that I talked about how traumatizing this process was making this movie, but lo and behold, we got into Tribeca. We knew in December, which was crazy. So I said on this news for so fucking long that's basically like poo that has like hardened and turned into rock inside.
You were constipated.
Yeah. I'm just like, it's basically hardened like rocks inside of my large intestines. And so so it's kind of weird. You know, people are like, "Are you excited? Are you excited?" I kind of feel numb from it.
Sure.
Also because the thing with Yaya happened like a few weeks ago, and now it's coming up. I'm leaving for New York this week.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really feel that. I'm the type of person that doesn't really know what it is until I get there.
Yeah, especially when it's in another city.
Absolutely.
Like, it's hard to throw your consciousness elsewhere.
Yeah. And I think because of the way that I'm responding, like, it's kind of nonchalant.
Right.
And I try not to have too high of expectations of anything.
Sure.
Try to manage my emotions because I've been disappointed.
Because we've been hurt before.
Yeah, exactly. It's a defense mechanism. But and people are like, it's such a big deal, and I'm like, yeah, it really is. And I'm really, really proud of this movie.
Yes,
it's taken so much out of me.
Oh my god!
But it's also incredible.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I saw an earlier cut, so it wasn't even finished.
Yeah.
It was before you did final color and final VFX.
Yeah.
And I think music wasn't complete, right?
You saw like an editing cut.
But it was eerie. It was gorgeous. The performances were incredible.
Thank you.
Even this week while you were posting all the behind the scenes, I was like, how did you get that movie from some of those sets or situations?
I don't know. I mean,
remarkable.
I know. It's been, Neil, my producer, has been sending me a bunch of BTS videos that he took of me secretly without me knowing. Right. And because during the whole time I was so stressed out and I didn't have time to really take much photos.
You didn't sleep. You didn't eat.
No, and I looked horrible the whole time because obviously when you're living through that, you don't think about those things, just try to get through the day. And, seeing all these videos that he took of me, it's like, it's so weird. You reflect back on it and you're like, oh, that was kind of cute, oh, that's what I'm like when I'm working. Oh, we have some tender moments. And wow, these are the people that help carry me through, during filmmaking. And I even though it was hard, it's these are the beautiful moments that I shouldn't take for granted.
Yes.
There was a video that he took of me, drunkenly singing, Bang Bang and getting it all wrong. Seasons came and changed the time. When I grew up, I called him mine. And that night we were just with the art department because they had a house at Fairyland and they invited us over. They grilled some food and we all just spent time together. And it's those moments, that's what makes the experience.
100%. 100%.
The movie is
it's
the movie,
so sweet.
but really it's the circus and
it's the entire experience around it. And I think as you're going through post, it can be easy to remove yourself from the actual experience. And maybe you kind of have to kind of birth this baby. You have to forget about the rest of the pregnancy. You just have to focus on the post.
There were so many things that I forgot about.
It's so nuts. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, there were things I don't remember.
And I think there were things you blocked out because they were too hard.
100%.
Yeah. So video evidence is very key.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, what is the premise? What's the premise of the movie for our goatees to know?
So it's about a girl named Emily who recently lost her father, and she comes from a family of sailors. And to honor her father's death, she decides to take a trip to solo circumnavigate the globe on her sailboat. So without any technology, just using it the traditional way.
Dude, and that's a dinky little sailing boat.
It's a dinky little sailboat. But there are people who do this.
I believe it.
Young women who do this. And so she does this, but she ends up getting shipwrecked. And this is based off a real place. On the most dangerous to access lighthouse in the world.
Jesus.
Off the coast of Chile. And the real place is called the Isle de Evangelistas. Ooh. But in the movie, we renamed it to something else. And you'll see what it is. And there she gets rescued by the lighthouse worker named Ismail, who is played by Damian Bashir.
So hot.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so much ethos, so much presence.
He's so good.
Oh my God,
He's so good. And she's great too. It's literally just a 2-character piece the entire film.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
And it's also my favorite thing to do.
Oh my God, yeah. It's basically like a play.
It is.
It's but cinematic.
Cinematic.
Fucking-matic.
Yes.
Cine-fucking-matic, dude.
Cine-fucking-matic. We should make that into a shirt.
We should make that into
Cine-fucking-matic.
Yeah. But like, it really is most of the scene. I mean, all the scenes are pretty much just the two of them interacting, and there's so much silence. Can you talk to me about what silence meant in this movie?
Oh my gosh. It was so we were in the literal environment.
Right.
You know, we were shooting off the coast of the North Atlantic.
Right.
There's a lighthouse there. We were dealing with the elements every single day. So the silence is basically padded by Mother Nature and her omnipresent character.
Got it.
She really is, like, my whole thesis with this film is about, if you meet another person, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with like the Israel-Palestine conflict. It's like, I could tell you all day about how I feel, but sometimes without context, should I believe you?
Yeah,
you know? So whether or not we choose to believe, like Emily could choose to believe that this person is her savior or her keeper. And whatever she thinks is facts to her.
Got it.
Because there's no other person on the island to tell her differently.
No one to bounce ideas off of.
Exactly.
No one to have that assurance that you're not going crazy or that you are going crazy. Yeah.
And I love that, because when you only have one other person, it's like, do you trust them or do you not?
Right.
And there's also this fear element of like her being a young woman. And Emily's played by Julia Godani-Talius, amazing actress.
So good.
She's so incredible. And they have such great chemistry. Like, these two actors, they really play well together. And it's so amazing to see how your perspective can flip within a switch. Like, you know, and you're just like gaslighting yourself.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yes.
And the audience is in for the ride, just being like, well, this is chess. Like, who do we believe?
Right.
And it gets crazy, y'all. Like, it gets crazy.
It's kind of giving, too. It's giving March 2020 a little bit, because these people are isolated. And I was like, I don't know that this movie would have been the same, both by the actors and by the, production, it had COVID not happened.
Oh, 100%. I don't think I would have made it the same way.
Right?
Yeah.
And what are certain things, maybe choices that drove that, were driven by real life experience?
Oh my God. Oh, geez. I think that's the whole thing, is like, during COVID, there was so much happening in the world, politically and violently, as well. And we had the podcast then, and we talked a lot about the echo chamber. I think a lot of it has to do with the conversations that we have about these things, about world politics, and how we see each other too, because generationally, these two characters are very different.
Yes, one is more like either elder Gen X or boomer coded, I guess, right? And then the other one is like a Gen Z young girl, like she's like vlogging her experience half the time. Yeah,
exactly. And it's and he's stuck on an island by himself for so many years. Right. And what isolation does to you. Yes. And how he sees himself as like the protector of the light. Right. And, there are paranormal elements that come into play based off of like sailor lore, which is really cool.
Very cool.
This is something that we get to play with, and just stuff that I fucking love. Yeah. Like, and this way we're able to expand the world more and go deeper into genre.
But I think what makes, and no spoilers, but what makes the paranormal aspects work is how grounded the rest of it is.
Yes.
And so when things happen, you're like, oh my gosh, like I literally am afraid that something's really gonna happen. Like, it feels real. Like, it feels very real. One of my favorite scenes was, I love when the two of them are just isolated together, before anything turns, before, they really know each other. And both of them are kind of two individuals that have been isolated for a long time. So they're a little awkward around each other in general. You really feel like you're in the room with them.
Yes. I want it to be as immersive as possible. I think it's also because we were living it.
Yeah.
You know how like art imitates life?
Yeah.
It was the entire production of Beacon. So it was easy for us to feel that way, because like we were dealing with 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. Like, the house was shifting outside. We got shut down for weather for so many days. God. My DP Daphne is like 100 pounds, and one time when those winds got really big, like she almost got swept away. I'm not even kidding you. It was really dangerous.
You shot it where the Titanic sank.
Exactly. Right? We had those icebergs.
So it was like real scary.
Like 2 weeks after we wrapped, the Titanic submersible thing happened.
That's right.
Yes.
In that, like right outside, like in the same harbor or something, right? That's fucking insane.
My producer, Neil, shared the same hotel as members of that expedition.
Oh my God.
He took photos of them.
Oh my God. That is such a crazy brush with history.
It is.
Wow. I mean, R.I.P. to, the people that that was a very intense
That was
experience.
a really intense time.
Yeah.
But it's just so surreal. It just makes me think that, a shooting there was magical, but also kind of crazy.
It kind of sets into perspective all the things, even though so many things went wrong, more could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
In that environment, in that kind of thankless, weather situation.
Sometimes I just think, wow, it's a miracle that I even shot this movie. We shot technically in 15 days.
That's insanity.
It's insane.
That's insanity.
It's insane. We had
oh my God. Well, and you lost a crew member.
Oh yeah, that was insane too.
I just can't believe
we lost a crew member on the very last day of shooting. Yeah.
You guys just went through so much as a team.
I was like so traumatized. You know what? I'm just manifesting that the next few years of my life are going to, it's gonna go up from here. Yeah. I'm grateful for everything, you guys. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I know that I may sound like kind of dry about it all, but I think there's a reality of like honoring yourself going through these things and celebrating the wins, which of course, like being at Tribeca is such a great win for us. But also it was hard to get here.
Yeah. I want you to, in the voice of 24-year-old Roxy, talk to yourself for a sec, because if 24-year-old Roxy found out that she had a film premiering at Tribeca,
so cool.
What would she say?
Oh man.
What would she say to you?
Oh my gosh, I never thought about that. That's so sweet. I think, I don't. Oh, when I was 24, I didn't even think this would happen.
Right.
It's so beyond my scope of understanding.
Yeah. You would be like, Priscilla, I met this woman in her mid-30s. She's having her first premiere of her feature film at Tribeca. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Like you would be freaking
I would be freaking
out.
That's true. Oh, yeah. Thank you for putting that into perspective.
She would be freaking the fuck out.
She would be freaking the fuck out. Yeah. Young Roxy would be freaking the fuck out.
You literally, you would be like, this is unbelievable.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it is really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the way we looked at Tribeca, like fresh out of film school.
Oh my God, I know.
We were like, that is like the apex.
It
That's
just feels
New York.
so beyond your reach.
100%.
Yeah.
And to do it with people that you genuinely love.
I got real lucky. Yes,
yeah.
I
and
did.
making a movie that you're actually very proud of, because we know that is not always the case.
That's true. I could always count on Priscilla for bringing me back to like bring me back to life. You know what I mean?
Bring me back to life.
Wait, is that how it goes?
Bring me from myself. I don't know.
Evanescence.
Amelia's
an incredible singer.
Oh, so good.
She's so amazing.
I learned the term elder emo the other day.
What?
Yeah, it's like I think it's like elder millennial, but elder emo, like you were an emo kid.
Honestly,
yeah,
I resonate with that.
I
mean, like My Chemical Romance, Evanescence.
Yes.
Okay, that was totally me in high school.
I don't know.
Oh my God, Good Charlotte.
Blink 182. I don't know.
Is that emo? Tell us if it's emo. We don't know. I don't know. But that was a time in history.
It was a time.
Guys.
Yeah. Checkered everything.
I loved it. Those
Side
Vans.
bangs,
The skater sneakers.
Yes.
Even though I never skated a skateboard my entire life. Have you?
I have.
Oh, were you good at it?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I was fine on a flat surface.
Oh,
yeah. I couldn't do it on the curves. Or anything.
No. I would break all of my bones.
Yeah, I could like turn.
Ooh,
that I couldn't do anything else. Really. Yeah, there's like I was
so
more
much
of
hidden talent.
A rollerblader.
Rollerblades.
Me and my sisters were rollerbladers.
I love rollerblading.
Yeah, it's so
probably
fun.
Can't do it anymore.
No, you could do it. We should go to a skating rink. Speaking of skating rinks,
yeah,
it is Pride. So one thing I want to talk about, as we kick off Pride Month.
Woo!
And we're a little bit late because life is life, right?
Yeah, sorry, guys.
I want to talk to you because we had this conversation reflecting on your like where you were with understanding your sexuality back in 2020.
Oh my God.
And you were basically like saying, I'll never really date a woman because, you had all these caveats.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at today in this Pride, the year of our Lord 2024? Where are you at? Where are you at with your sexuality?
Oh my God.
I want to talk about it.
The queer journey is so beautiful. Like I love, oh my God, I remember. Yeah, I was talking to Priska about this a few weeks ago where I was like, remember that one time that we had our conversation about queerness and I just said, well, I just can't disappoint my parents and I need to marry a man. And now I cannot envision it at all.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
And it's nothing against men. Dude, I love men. I love having sex with men, all right?
Yes.
Like I love friendships with men.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Relationships with no outcome. Like, I just don't want to get married to a man.
Yeah.
And I think at this point in my life, I was like, oh, am I straight? Oh, am I bisexual? Am I gay?
Yeah.
And I really love I love being queer because it's just, you can go at any time depending on where your journey's going.
Yeah.
And I don't love to put like a hard definition of my outcome in terms of my sexuality. I feel like it's definitely something that's ever changing. But I think I'm at a point in my life where I just have sexual tension with everyone.
Every time we go out to eat and there's like a cute waiter or waitress or just person,
Anybody. Yeah.
it is like watching I don't know. It is just like it's third wheeling.
Stop it.
Third wheeling with like your friend and whoever they're dating.
God, stop.
Like literally, yeah. It's just like this crackling, shimmering sexual energy that you can have with anybody at the drop of a hat. It's pretty ferociously awesome.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had a brief thing with a gay man.
Right.
Yes.
And
that was hard to classify too. And so I'm just like, what is queerness?
Yeah.
Because everyone is always trying to put a label on it. Not everyone, of course, I'm just being in general, but you just like identify yourself, like define yourself. And then the labels get so complicated. It's like, oh, I'm transmasculine, asexual. Like, and I'm like, I can't keep track of, everyone's labels. And for me, I think everything shifted once I gave myself full permission to be radically authentic and honest with myself and express myself honestly.
Yeah.
Because for a while, I feel like those labels were holding me back. Like if I said, oh, I'm strictly bisexual, and then I felt like I had to act bisexual.
Right.
Because it is a thing where it's like media and society and the internet are just like, oh, here's a lesbian master dog. By the way, if you guys ever have questions about your sexuality and, there's like a lesbian master dog, there's like bisexual master dog. Like, you could just, because it helps you analyze like all these questions about yourself and help navigate you and your
just
identity.
so you can enter that stream of consciousness, understanding what the definitions are, and maybe where you can fit in that space, or if you're working things out, other people that are working the same things out, you can have a conversation.
Absolutely. And
I like
and
that.
Also, a lot of people don't really know what queerness is. It's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine and she says that she's straight but she also dates like trans men.
Oh.
And then I said, and then there's this person who's trans and they're dating like a really femme woman.
Right.
And then she's like, oh, is that femme woman straight? And I was like, well, trans is part of the LGBTQ community.
Umbrella, yeah.
So you technically are part of that.
Yes.
And then she was like, wait a second. So I'm not straight? Like, dating a trans man doesn't make me straight?
Right.
And then she seemed like kind of bothered by it. And,
right.
And I'm like, well, yeah, it means you're queer. Like, it means you're sexually attracted to someone that's not, but it's different.
It's confusing because it doesn't feel,
And it takes a lot of courage to be able to, tell yourself or be honest with yourself about that space you're stepping into for the first time.
True.
Because it's making you look at yourself quite differently.
Yes. It's uncomfortable to kind of go to these very fundamental, foundational pieces of yourself and be like, ooh, maybe this needs to move a little. Mm-hmm. Like, that's very uncomfortable. It's very difficult to do.
It's very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And so I think ever since then, since 2020, I've given myself full permission to be open. And a lot of it has to do with, my friendship and relationship with Ja, who has made me so much more at ease with myself. And he's like, you could attract anyone you want. He's like, you're super hot, you can have any relationship you want. And it works, you guys. Like, these mantras and affirmations actually work because it just allows you to be totally okay with yourself, how imperfect you are. But as long as you're authentic, those that you attract will come to you regardless.
Right. Yeah.
And not everything has to be sexual or romantic. Like, there are beautiful platonic connections that I have sexual interest in or tension with all the time. And it's fine if it is what it is, or we leave it or whatever. But I think with love, it's like I meditate on this all the time. And it's like, do you radically accept this person unconditionally? Do you choose to love them like despite an outcome? You know, like
despite an outcome.
You don't see yourself needing to marry them. You don't see yourself like, you know, trying to wrangle them into a relationship,
or
like,
even needing to be sexually involved.
Exactly. And being okay with that. And that was such a groundbreaking moment for me, that I could just love this person and appreciate them as they are in the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's been a practice because, you know, I was working through my limerence. I was working through my anxious attachment. But I think being like with Ja and like learning about sexuality and, you know, relationships with him.
Yeah.
He has educated me quite a lot, and it has given me full permission to really bloom.
Right.
So I know where I am now, and it's beautiful because I'm fostering really genuine connections. And if they go somewhere, they go somewhere. And and look, every relationship, I'm sure you can agree with this with me on the too. Like romance is like this, then it's platonic, then romance comes back, and
it ebbs, it flows.
It ebbs and flows. Like you can't always just be like, oh yeah, I want you like all the time. You know, like that's not real. You know, that's not real life. That's what rom-coms want you to see, and romance novels.
But it's not realistic.
No.
But I think more than anything, I feel like what I see from you as someone who's just kind of on the sidelines of your life, obviously cheering you on, and you know, giving you a bottle of water on mile 54 or whatever, because it's a super marathon, obviously. But you know, I've just seen that you don't measure your self-worth against, you know, whatever your romantic or sexual relationships in your life and dictate. Like you don't let that affect what your self-worth looks like anymore.
It still comes up sometimes though.
You know,
I think it's natural for us. Like I think I was crushing on this person like a few weeks ago and immediately I put them on a pedestal and I was like, I was like, come back down, you know, and then and some distance from this person has made it a little bit better.
Got it.
So it's good.
That's real talk.
It's real talk.
Because I think before you lived in that spiral.
Oh, yeah.
You like, I would just like see you and it'd be like you were in a hot tub with jets going full on.
For sure. Because I was like, I need my existence to be validated by a relationship.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just things have really broken open for me.
Right.
But it took a lot of work.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the things that we're talking about, you know, even breaking these patriarchal structures, breaking gender norms, breaking, you know, this capitalistic notion of romantic love and what it should look like and be. Breaking that down has also been very helpful in my relationship, you know, and even though we are straight and we are married, I think a lot of things, it becomes very difficult to always voice your actual needs when you feel nailed to some sort of archetypal structure. And if you're able to unmoor yourself from that, then you can both be more authentically who you are, which can only benefit your relationship, you know?
Exactly.
And so I think that a lot of the things that we've talked about since 2020 has helped me, and also I think helped Abe, unmoor ourselves from being tethered to something very, very prescriptive.
Yes.
You know, and it's all we knew. So I'm not saying that anyone did anything wrong or incorrect or whatever, but it takes work to unlearn that. And it takes work to then apply new structures. And then it takes work to live with the subconscious disappointment you might still have in yourself because you're not aligning with what you grew up with. So it's like you're saying with self-worth, you're like, it still comes up. For me, a lot of patriarchal structures and guilt and shame tied to that still come up.
Yeah.
But now we have more vocabulary, we have a deeper understanding of self, so we can kind of work ourselves back from the brink instead of fall like into that rotation constantly.
As a straight person, what does pride mean to you?
Well, pride, obviously, I'm a very, very, very proud ally.
Yeah.
And especially someone who grew up in the church and grew up very entrenched in very homophobic ideals. It is an important time for me to continue to unlearn things from the past and learn things from the now.
Yeah.
And to always re-examine myself to see how I can be a better ally, re-examine, the friendships in my life and how I can more deeply support people. And also, honestly, I think there was a time where I would be more open to having friends that did not openly support the gay community, and I'm not in that place anymore. It's not that I'm not willing to have a conversation, because I am, but it's just a re-examining for me. And it is just a time, I think, filled with so much joy, and it allows myself to explore my sexuality in ways that are very freeing, and even though I'm married and I'm attached, it doesn't mean that you can't explore kind of the thing, like explore your bliss.
Yes. Beautifully said, Priscilla.
Look at us
just thriving at life together.
Yes. Because obviously the world is on fire and everything is so stressful. But at the end of the day, I think I'm really happy that we're on this journey of self-knowledge and self-realization, because that investment and time, it pays back tenfold easily.
I'm so lucky to have Priscilla in my life, you guys. We're so lucky to have Priscilla in our lives, But just going off of this pride thing, our unsolicited pick this week, unsolicited picks, like going off of pride, is Billie Eilish's new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. I mean, I think when I saw you, literally, I was like, did you listen to Billie's new album?
We're like freaking out.
Fucking crazy.
Dude, it is such a good third act, in the sequence of storytelling from her other albums. Sonically, it is so good. Songwriting, it is so good. Her voice has matured so much.
So, wait, it's been how many years? 3 years since she came out since her last album, Happily Ever After.
I think so, yeah. Was it 2021? 21? Okay, yeah. That felt like yesterday.
Tell me how you felt when you first heard it all the way through. Where were you? What were you doing?
We were in the car. We were driving in LA. I loved Lunch right away. That was just catchy.
Yeah.
And then I gave it a listen on headphones. And then last week I had my friend Mara Esther over. Yeah.
Yay!
And we listened through most of the album, and we sang through it together. And it was
by the way, when the two of them sing together, it is incredible. We need to have it play as the outro song.
Okay. And yes, we'll have it as an outro. But I think getting to sing through it together with one of my favorite people to sing with was super fun, and it gave me a chance to further appreciate the music. Kind of when you, I don't know, sing choral music, you're like, oh my God, Handel, he really knew this stuff. I feel like, doing that, it just made me appreciate the chord changes, the orchestration, a lot of the time signature changes, all of that. It was really fun.
Everything was so intentional. Every single song is a masterpiece, and listening to it as a whole is an experience.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite right now? Because I know you were saying you had a favorite, but now you have a new favorite.
I know. It was
What's your current favorite?
So weird. It's I had to go back and re-listen to it a few times to appreciate the mastery of every song. But the first one that really got to me was L'amour de ma vie, Love of My Life. Very kind of bossa nova.
Yes.
You just also the way she the best for the rest of my life. For you, good. That one got me right away. And then of course that sequence in Chihiro.
Oh yes,
is what the fuck? When I heard it, I was just like, where am I? I shifted into an alternate dimension, and I see TikToks of people playing that section and showing a scene of how they feel. I saw someone riding horseback through a misty wood while playing that song, and everybody's just losing their shit. Another girl is dancing while waves are crashing around her.
Oh my Lord. Catharsis.
It's everyone interpreting how the song makes them feel, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's in the juice that Phineas and Billy ate growing up. I know they're vegans and stuff. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah, they are vegan.
They're hardcore vegans.
I was thinking for the on Lunch, I'm like, isn't that weird for your brother to be like, can we get that a little more
thirsty?
Can we get that a little thirstier? You don't sound horned up to me.
But it's crazy, their level of intimacy and I don't know if you saw any BTS stuff.
Oh yeah.
They were fighting a lot.
Oh, right, yeah. They're siblings.
Yeah,
they're clearly siblings.
They're just I don't want to do this anymore. But also he's her most trusted person.
Yes.
she can't do this level of music without him.
No. Like they're a perfect team because I love Phineas as a songwriter, but as a vocalist, he is interesting, but not necessarily the most memorable.
But he's a great producer.
He's a great producer.
Yeah.
He's a great producer, and like the fact that they can get their 10,000 hours together.
Yes,
I think that's part of the secret to their success.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, I just I'm just so impressed by that. I can't stop listening to it. Help me. We're probably gonna sing more after this, you know, like we're gonna sing. There you go. See, we're already there.
Birds of a feather, we should stick together.
Yeah. I just know the melodic stuff. I don't know the words.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love Billy's new album. Tell us what you think about Billy's new album. Also, I'm curious to see just like a couple. Thank you, Priska, for being such a wonderful leader of our conversation and just helping me work through so much shit today. But just going back on a couple things, like if you guys would like to share how you handle your anticipatory grief or your different stages of grief, like please write to us. Hello to Horny Goats.
Yes.
If you want to share something, we could do a voice note. We could share it on the pod.
Yes.
Would love to know your thoughts on it.
I have a slight second unsolicited pick in kind of conjunction with that. I just read the book When Breath Becomes Air, and it is about a neurosurgeon who was diagnosed with cancer and basically has about a year or so to live. And he writes from this very like doctorly scientific perspective of him essentially he's very aware that he's losing his life. He has a wife. They later decided to have a kid right before he passed.
Is this a biography?
It's a memoir.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it is like unfinished because he passed away before
oh my
completed
God.
it. Yeah. But then there's an afterword that is just one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever read. But speaking of anticipatory grief, it's like what about losing your own life? What about losing your own personhood and quality of life? Yeah, When Breath Becomes Air. So it is one of the most beautiful books I have read in a while. It's from I think 2016 or something.
Where do you get your book recs?
Oh, great question.
Yeah.
My old boss, Carrie Bennett, she writes a book newsletter.
Oh.
And
you always have great suggestions. So I'm like wondering, where do you even?
Literally, there's so much choice paralysis that I just read what she recommends.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I love her book newsletter. So I will share that on the video.
So I just have one more question about this book. So if it's unfinished, like, how did it end for you? We don't have to give spoilers. About
I think it's like, it's not really spoilers because the foreword of the book already indicates that he dies. But I think it's hard to, it's not that it's unfinished. I guess that's like the wrong way to say it. It's that there is no easy conclusion for life. So I think he probably would have written it until he died, no matter what, in a way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just that his health specifically took a turn. And so the book ended there.
I need to read this.
Yeah, it is a really, like, especially, I think it was interesting because prior to becoming ill, he worked very closely with death. He worked very closely with patients who had a glioblastoma or had a part of their brain removed. So he was not a stranger to death. Obviously, I don't think any doctor is, but specifically in his field, it was very thick in the air. You know, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, I think you're gonna have a different relationship to death than if you're a neurosurgeon.
Right.
And so it was interesting to see from a patient family side how a doctor really tried to maintain his humanity in the midst of so much death and so much dying.
Oh my God.
And so that was really fascinating. And then when he does become ill, it becomes interesting because I think he tries to over rationalize everything that's happening. And there was one point where one of his oncologists says to him, I know that you want to be chatting. I know that you want to get into the deets of everything. I totally understand. And I'm happy to discuss things with you to a certain level. But if you ever need me to just be your doctor, just let me know and I can I can just be your doctor. And there were times where he needed that, because you just sometimes the roles exist for a reason. And even if you have all the training in the world and all the experience, when you're a patient, you're a patient. And when you are sick, you have the anxieties and fears of any other person who's sick. You just might know a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it was just very interesting. I really loved the book. I highly recommend it. I think it's a good read for whether you're in like whatever line of work that you do. I think it's a good read.
I can't wait. I just know I'm going to feel all the feelings when I read it.
Yes. Yes. 100%. So, Goatees, we are going to be taking a little mid-season break.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. She's alive and well. Okay. Yeah.
We're grateful for it.
Yes.
She's crazy. I'm going to be leaving for a little bit. So, we're going to take a little breaky break.
Yeah. So, we're going to. So, Two Horny Goats is. Yeah. So we're about like a third way through the season, and we're going to be taking a little mid-season break. Roxy's going to be going off to New York for a week or so, and she's going to be premiering at Tribeca.
Yay!
No big deal.
Thank you.
And I think we're going to take, just a couple weeks off in addition for our mental health and just to replenish ourselves and recalibrate. And then we'll come back. We're going to have some good interviews for you. We're openly doing outreach for that. Kevin Fong is going to come back and be a guest on the show.
Woo! Love you, Kevin.
Do queer history lessons a couple weeks late, not in time for Pride this time, but who fucking cares?
Yeah,
queer history is
every
history.
Single day.
Thank you. Thank you. Queer history is history.
It is.
So, but be on the lookout. Please go back and listen to old episodes if you haven't hit them up yet. Share us with a friend. If you want to donate to us, you can head to twohornygoats.com. Hit the donate button. We love you guys so very much.
We love you. Sending you all the love.
Have a horny summer.
Our lovely goatees.
And remember,
stay horny. That was a nerve. That was inappropriate. Don't cancel me for that. Love you.
Wait, what'd you say? Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's great. Yeah, what's wrong? What's wrong with
Nothing's
that?
wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong. Everything's great.
I could eat that girl for lunch. The way she dances on my tongue. Think that she could be the one. Do you know how to bend?
Ooh.